Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to keep a valuable time with chit chat. Fiona, I'm in your hands. I'm going to suggest we've got 10 attendees that we can play this one fairly loosey goosey.
Okay,
Take it
sounds
away.
good. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. You'll notice we're on the webinar format. So there's about 10 of you who've joined us so far. Very shortly, we're going to turn it over to the applicant for 2070 Scott Street, who's going to go over their construction information, so timelines, key milestones that they're planning on hitting, how the traffic management plan is going to work, how the construction staging is going to work, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions. We'll play this by ear. So, okay, so there's two ways we can do it since we're a small group. At any point during the presentation, if you have a question, you can click the Q&A button. If you're on a desktop, it's at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And if you just type in a question, I will see it, and then I will read it out loud for one of the panelists to answer. You can also communicate to me through that if there's something's gone wrong, or there's a technical question or something you need me to know. You can write to me in that way. But when we do open up the Q&A, I'll also take raised hands. So if you want to raise your hand, I will promote you to a panelist. You will then have the option of appearing on video or just saying something out loud, and you can ask your question and we can have more of a dialogue since there's less of us. So we'll play that by ear. Whatever you want to do, raise your hand or type the question, and then I'll read them out loud. Feel free. This is scheduled to 8:30, but we'll go as long as the kind of questions go. So if we wrap up by 8, we'll wrap up by 8. And this is also going to be recorded and on our YouTube channel. So if any of your neighbors have missed tonight and have some follow-up questions, you can direct them to the YouTube page, or they can email us, and I can send them the link so they can get the recording. And also, just so you know, if you want to raise your hand and then be on video or say a question out loud, perhaps that will factor into what you want to do, knowing that it's going to be recorded and on YouTube. So the focus of tonight is construction, and with that, I will turn it over to the developers team to move through a presentation and introduce their team. Who am I turning it over to, guys?
Myself.
Okay, take it away, Andrew.
So I'm Andrew Byer. I'm going to be the project manager for the construction at 2070 Scott. We're going to be building a 25-story building there. I'm guessing everyone can see my screen, I believe. So the building is going to be called the Azure Westboro, and it's, as I mentioned, 25 stories. ZW Project Management is who I work for. We're a local project management firm right in Westboro as well. And I'm going to ask Maria, she's the VP of the company. I'm going to ask her just to kind of overview the company a bit, and then we'll go on to the construction activities.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes, our company has been in business since 1986, so we've been around for a long time. It's a family-owned business and a employee-owned business. We are a Canadian company. We do work across Canada. Also had successful projects outside of Canada internationally. We have about 20 staff right now. That doesn't count the staff that may be on our construction sites. We do both construction management and project management. We have extensive experience in construction, building residential, and have our team that Andrew is on that will be on this project. Like Andrew said, we are local, so we are your neighbor. We can answer any questions at any time. We have an open door philosophy where we're small. We're not a big company. In my mind, we're a big company, but we're small and we're a community company. So we like to be hands-on, and if there are issues that come up, we would love to hear about them and try to help out with whatever your concerns are. So Andrew, maybe you can take us through your presentation. And
all right, thank you. So we're going to be breaking ground in late April, early May. We'll be breaking ground simply by preparing the site. There's an old Weight Watcher sign there that's been there for a decade or more. I'm going to tear that out. There's a residence nearby that the site is purchased. It's 328 Winona. That'll be demolished as well. We'll be putting up the proper construction fencing along with hoarding being the plywood so that when you're driving by, you don't see the ugly old piles of dirt and construction machines in there. And the fencing is for safety purposes to make sure that the general public is safe and not able to kind of wander through the construction site. So after we prepare the site, we'll begin shoring and excavation. That's going to take about 5 months. There is a little bit of overburden, which is the soil that'll be stripped off right away, but the majority of the work is going to be when we start into the rock excavation. There will be some blasting. We'll be blasting occasionally for over a duration of about 3 months. The rock is somewhat loose, so there will be a lot of excavation where we use just the machine shovel and or a hoe ram. But for the harder rock, well, of course, we'll have to drill in and blast it. We plan to be out of the ground in early spring. So that's to say that we'll have structure in the ground. We'll be back to ground level. Then you'll start seeing the building rise out of the ground. We anticipate the structure is going to take about 12 to 14 months, which will take us into December of 2023. And then another likely 6 months after that is when we would be looking at completion and having occupancy into the buildings. That would be in the summer of 2024. So there's always a concern for construction, and I hear it on the radio all the time. There's construction zone everywhere. We've worked very diligently with the city and with Jeff's office to ensure that we're gonna try to be what's the word I'm looking for? Almost you won't see us there, sort of thing. We're gonna have our trucks down from the 417. They're gonna come down Churchill, turn onto Scott, and then turn onto Winona. Our entrance and exit to the site is off of Winona, and the city has said to us that they don't want us to impede or hold up any traffic on Scott or Churchill at all. There's buses, there's bikes, there's pedestrians, and they don't want us to hold anything up there. So there'll be no stopping on Scott. We'll pull into Winona and maneuver our vehicles around in there. So the bike lanes, the pedestrian walkways and traffic, like I mentioned, they won't be affected on Scott or on Churchill by our construction. On Winona, we will be carving a little bit of the sidewalk there, but we'll still have 2 lanes of traffic that will be able to pass there, so that, on Winona over here, we'll still make sure that there's 2 lanes of traffic that'll pass, and we won't need to close anything off. So the City of Ottawa is shown here. The City of Ottawa is, and as I mentioned, they've wanted us to make sure that we don't impede traffic. So they're leaning on us to make sure that we follow their lead in terms of how the trucking goes. So this is, I apologize that I don't have anything, more colorful in terms of the map around the site there, but on the right-hand side of this screen, you'll see the red colored area where the letter D is. So that area is, most of that area is our site, and some of the city property being the sidewalk there. And then there's a little bit of street there as well that we have carved out. Again, though, two-way traffic still there. This red zone is where we're going to have most of our construction activity happening in terms of lifting material off of trucks backing in and out. stationary vehicles like, concrete pumping, that sort of thing. That'll all be handled in this area. As noted, where letter B is, that's Scott Street. There'll be no impact to any bike lanes or anything there. And I can see Jeff zooming in there. Let's see if I can get a little bigger there for you. Yeah, so where B is, this is Scott Street. We won't be impeding any traffic up here in terms of the bike lanes or pedestrians. Over here where A is, this is where there's a bus stop here and a large pedestrian area. We won't be affecting that at all either. Next is, I'm gonna get back, zoom back out here a little. So environmental, it's always a subject that we need to take a look at as well. I've been in Ottawa for only about 20 years. And I think from the day I came here, this Weight Watchers site has been there. So it's nice to see that something's going to happen to this site. So we're going to be, it's been unutilized for many years. There is soil on the site and some contaminated water in there as well. So as part of this development, we're cleaning that up, making the site a cleaner area. There'll be an underground stormwater storage tank. Why this is important is that it enables us as a site to hold our rainwater on site and release it to the city system slowly. And so that doesn't impact or overload the city system at all. We can just let it drain out slowly. By the way, the holding tank will be underground. You won't see anything. So the construction waste, so all of the cardboard and wood and all of the mess that we create when we're building the building, we have a waste diversion program, which we can usually achieve a little bit higher than 82% diversion, but I put 82 in because I know it's something that we can definitely hit. We can get about as high as 87. But what this is effectively, kind of in its simplest form, is we take our mixed garbage, it goes to a site where it's sorted into metal, wood, plastic, glass, soil, and just true garbage. And then those items that are separated are then used for other things. So obviously the glass would be recycled glass, metal's recycled metal, wood goes to some different areas. It gets ground down into a fine powder, and it's used to feed boilers and different things like that for manufacturing. So, we're not just filling the landfills with our waste, we're averting a lot of it, and really only the true kind of quote unquote garbage goes into the landfill.
Hey, Andrew, it's John. I thought
Yep.
you also mentioned that our building will have a combined heating and power generation system that is 80% more efficient than the grid. So we're generating a lot of our own power, which takes away a lot of the stress on Ottawa Hydro. And, hydro is about 30% efficient. We're 80% efficient in our power generation. So,
Yeah. Thank you, John. So next slide is the sustainability. So the building will be owner operated. So efficiency is a priority because we want to be able to, we want to deliver a building that the owner can run for many years and run efficiently. The building is being constructed following the Ontario Building Code and specifically SB 10 guidelines. And SB 10 is a kind of a subsection, I guess, of the building code that gives us guidelines to make sure that when we do build it, we're building it in an efficient manner so that when we heat it, it'll retain the heat. When we cool it, it will retain the cool. When we, like the combined heat that John was just speaking of, when we use a boiler to heat water, instead of letting the already heated air and water just dissipate into coolness if not used, we use that energy in other areas. So we're combining the heat generation there. We have a company that's going to be doing energy modeling for the building, so it'll help us identify areas that are not efficient that we can, maybe upgrade equipment or building assemblies to help give us a better building. And it's a concrete structure, so you can imagine there's going to be a lot of cubic meters of concrete in this building. But it's important to note, I think, that the concrete that we're using has a 20% recycled content in it. So it's not just fresh sand and all that kind of stuff. So it's, instead of stone, sometimes we use recycled concrete that's ground up to mimic stone. So, every little bit helps, right? The landscape of the building, the next drawing is a little better, but this one here is, so we're looking north. So I'll just get this zoomed in a bit again. So this is the plan view. We got Winona here, Scott and Churchill over here. We're going to be creating kind of a pedestrian walkway between Winona and Churchill. And this will be an area used a lot by the occupants. Obviously, they'll be coming out in and out of this area. But also people that are coming up Scott Street, they can divert in here and they can go up through this way here if they want to come out on Churchill, instead of kind of navigating the busy corner out here. But what I wanted to kind of show you is the amount of softscape or green tree, the trees and the landscaping that we'll be introducing to the site. It's unutilized now, but later when the building's built, we're going to have, quite a few trees out front, lots of low-lying bushes and planting areas. There's a few trees, actually, I think there's 6 trees on the site that we have been mandated to save. There's 4 circled here and 2 here. These need to be protected, so we won't be doing anything with those. And we'll be introducing many more trees and foliage as part of the build. And there'll be some concrete here and some cobblestone and stuff out here on Churchill and Scott to make it, more pleasing to the Westboro sort of look of Westboro. Yeah, so that's the current kind of rendering of what it will look like if you're standing in that little passway there, that little walkway. Next is the community. There's a lot of construction going on, and it's tough on your commute sometimes, but luckily, the folks that are commuting in to build the building, the workers out on site, they're contractors and they're going to shop local. They'll go out and eat locally for lunch and all that kind of stuff. And introducing that many more people into the building, into the Westboro community for a couple of years is going to help. It's going to help the economy. And this is something that actually our site plan developer from the city, this is kind of his quote is that it'll help animate Scott Street and Churchill with people and coffee shops and stuff. So rather than just a drab gravel filled site, it'll be a building with people coming and going and coffee shops and stuff. So and give more community feel to the area. Zoom back out. As Maria touched on, we're a local business and we're your neighbor. We welcome comments and concerns, so there'll be some information on site posted how to get a hold of the site super or myself or the office. We'll probably also note that Jeff, the community can always go to their community office counselor to ask questions and look for information as well. But we don't want to burden him too much. So, any questions can come directly to ZW. Also, I understood too, there's a Westboro community group, and I was going to reach out to someone to see if I can get their email and or website to see if I can maybe forge a bit of a relationship in terms of giving them updates kind of weekly or monthly on what's going on site, just so people know what to expect. And I think I am done. That's the end of my construction slideshow as we have it.
Perfect.
Pass it back over to you there, I guess, Fiona.
Thanks, Andrew. So I have two comments in three, okay, I have two-ish comments in the chat. You can keep putting comments in the Q&A, sorry, or you can electronically raise your hand with the raise hand function, and I'd be happy to promote you to panelists to ask your questions. So I'll start with what's in here. Okay. If the construction will impede the sidewalk on Winona, where would pedestrians walk? On the street?
No, so on the east side of Winona, there is a sidewalk there. On the west side where we are right now, it's actually not even a sidewalk. It's just gravel and I think asphalt, if I remember correctly. So yeah, they won't have to walk on the street or climb over bushes or anything like that. They'll still have a clear path on the east side.
Okay. And then Joanne is adding that she's on the board of the WCA. So Andrew, after this meeting, I will send an email to, I'll connect you to the Westboro Community Association and note
Oh, that'd be great.
that Joanne has been here and would like to connect and discuss further.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay, working hours, how early, how late, weekends, question mark.
Okay, so, well, we have to follow the Ottawa bylaw for noise, obviously. And pardon me, I should know the answer, but I believe it's 7 a.m. I could be wrong, but
yeah, if I may, I mean, currently one of the issues is that the province has overridden the city's noise bylaws. So you are actually allowed to go 6 a.m. until like 10 p.m. 7 days a week, but I've been asking every builder, of course, please don't do that. There are, if you can adhere to the 7 a.m. during weekdays and then the 9 a.m. on weekends and holidays, I doubt you'll be on site for many of the weekends, or I don't know for sure, but if you could adhere to the Ottawa bylaws, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be adhering to the Ottawa bylaws. In my tender documents, I tell trades it's 7 to 5, the normal working hours. There will be a time though, there will be a weekend here or there, but we'll still live within the noise bylaws. And there will be some evenings later in the project when we're putting up some panels up on the roof. We're talking late 2023. There will be some evening work there, but I don't anticipate anything that's extremely noisy that's going to keep people awake at that time. And it's only for maybe 2 weeks at most.
The worst part, of course, is the excavation, where especially if you're hoe ramming, that is the worst. And I mean, I think we'd all be grateful if you could avoid any kind of hoe ramming on weekends.
So the excavator has a time frame to which they need to be down to the bottom of the hole. I guess I can't speak definitively that there won't be any work on the weekends, but they have plenty of time to make their way under traditional excavation.
It's I'll just iterate the it's really tough with people working at home right now. And people really look forward to those weekends as an opportunity to rest after a really busy week, especially if they're at home listening to hoe ramming for the whole week. So
yeah. 10-4.
Okay, thanks.
Hey Jeff, it's John Thomas. I just thought I'd jump in there. I know on our 929 project, I don't think we had any excavation on the weekends, and that will probably be the same intention here, Andrew, if I can sort of put words in your mouth. You know, nobody wants to work weekends. That's the reality. None of our workers want to be there. They want to be home with their families as well. So unless it's a very extenuating circumstance, I think the plan is we're Monday to Friday.
And that's normally what I would expect is, you know, your folks will be on site from 7 until 3:30, 4 o'clock
Right.
in the afternoon. And then the weekends, the site will be fairly quiet until probably towards the end of the project where they're doing a bunch of fitting and rapidly trying to get ready for folks to move into the building.
Exactly. I mean, the
But
only
that's-
person who will be there at 4 o'clock might be Andrew. I think everyone else will be there by 3.
Well, you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say there won't be any, because the first weekend there's something, then the people are going to call and say, hey,
Yep.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
But it's our intention.
you know
to be
what?
there with the
It'll be as minimal as possible. We'll keep it as minimal as possible, because you're right. You know, we don't like to work the weekend either. So.
Yeah. And Andrew, I live like not far away, so I don't want you guys working the weekends either. So I want to sleep in on Saturdays.
Okay.
All right. Sorry to bust in. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. So Judy Lincoln is with the Westboro Village BIA, and she's the executive director, and she's commented that the BIA would also be happy to receive construction updates as well. So I can also connect you via email.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Contact info. Okay. I am concerned about the section D. The area where the trucks will be driving in and out is very close to households with children and pets.
Yes, so there is, yeah, so there is, I think this is maybe a 4 or 5 story building here. We won't, the in and out is right here, so yes, I agree, there will be folks around walking their dogs, etc. Whenever we have trucks on this road, turning in and out, you know, this is not a place where we have any traffic signals, so we're going to have people out there with the, you know, slow and stop signs and stuff like that, directing traffic. You know, it's a safety issue, quite frankly, so we need to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. You know, if as time goes by there are concerns, please let us know. But we have worked on very tight sites before in the city. Right on Richmond Road, in fact, a couple, which is going on right now. And we take, and the trades do too, take very seriously that we can't be, you know, running our trucks up close to other vehicles or pedestrians and such like that. We'll stop, wait for the folks to pass and get on our way, so.
I think the expectation that, you know, I have and that I think you have as well is that, you know, those truck movements in and out are going to be flagged.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, it will be. The city has asked us to not southbound on Winona, which means we'll have to go northbound to Scott. We're going to have signal people out there to get the trucks back onto Scott, because they're going to have to cross the eastbound lane. So there'll be flag people out there for sure.
And Andrew, it's John again. If I could just chime in. So on our 99 Richmond Road project, you know, if there's ever an issue that comes up with the neighbors or the neighborhood, people typically reach out to me directly, whether it's Councillor Kavanaugh or staff or in that case, the Woodruff North Community Association, and we deal with it. I mean, we're not that kind of a developer. So if there are issues, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll take care of it. And I know Andrew and Jeff and Maria, and they're not like that. We're not interested in impeding anybody's enjoying their lives or definitely impacting safety. So we'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you. Two-part question from Joanne. How will residents be notified when the work time /changes, etc.? And the follow-up is, will Mr. Leeper be communicating this as changes occur?
So Fiona, you and I talked about this a little bit. So I talked to Fiona about, I want to be able to reach out to the folks to give them updates. And so, you know, blasting will start, or we need to shut down for a crane, or, you know, different things like this that are kind of not normal to construction, and it's maybe isolated to 1 or 2 days. So if we are getting in touch with the associations, that would be one way that we can get that information out. Fiona also mentioned that we can obviously send information to her office, and she can then forward that information on to folks that call in to your office, Fiona. So I guess the answer is, if as a person in the community, if you can stay in contact with either the associations or Leaper's office, you'll be able to get updates.
Yeah,
So if you
we'll,
I don't have any of everyone's email address, so I don't, have the ability to kind of throw it out there, right?
as local residents, I would ask that people write to my office asking to be kept up to date with any changes, because I generally don't put small things like this in my weekly newsletter. Not that it's small to you, but it's a very
Understood.
local area. And Fiona and I will commit as we learn of any sort of major changes on the site to reaching out to residents. But let us know that you'd like to receive those types of communications by writing to me at jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca. And let us know if we can share your information with the builder as well, because it sounds like they want to be proactive about getting communications out.
Yeah.
And I can't share your email address with them unless you let me. So, thanks.
And yeah, I know on some other sites, sorry, I've minimized my window. Anyways, on some of our other sites, usually like someone from the community association will be like paying attention to the project and will help disseminate the information as well. So when I email the community association, I'll see if they want to have a point person so that there's just one person who's up to date.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, sorry, technical problems. Okay, Judy with the Westboro Village BIA would like to know how many trucks per hour each day for the excavation period along Churchill?
I don't know that information right off the top of my head. I can certainly find out and get back to you. It is rock excavation, so it is something that takes a little bit more time consuming. So it won't be as heavy traffic as you would normally see at a site where they're just constantly digging up soil. But to get you a proper answer, not just a gut feeling, I think it would be best if I talk to the excavator and ask the question and get that answer back to you. So Fiona, maybe if you can get me in touch with Judy, I can get that over to her.
Will do. So I'm going to read the next comment and probably turn it over to Jeff to answer. Nice presentation, but the entire premise of a 25-story building in this location is completely absurd. A building that should be downtown is being built on a street without any pedestrian infrastructure.
Yeah. The council has approved the building, so and I think everyone knows that I voted against it, but it is moving ahead. Winona, and forgive me, I need Tom here. Winona is due for a proper rebuild sometime, I think, in the next couple of years. So it will get proper drains, it will get proper curbs, it will get proper sidewalks for the length of that. I don't know what else to say. This project is moving ahead. Winona will get rebuilt, and there it is.
There are some upcoming changes too, Jeff, for Scott. The sidewalk is going to be redone there along with the bike track.
Yep.
And the tie-in on Winona after they do the underground services, and there's going to be some new sidewalks and stuff in there too. So it'll actually look much better than it looks now when we're done there.
I mean, you know, I think every resident here recognizes there are, you know, this is obviously a really significant change for Scott Street. This is not the only one. There are several of them, starting with the Trailhead building, which established the sort of 25-story norm for Scott Street. It is right across from the Westboro Transit Station. We can expect a couple of other buildings probably to go in at the Granite Curling Club as well. This neighborhood in very close proximity to the light rail is going to change very significantly. And I'll just remind Fiona, my hand is up.
Okay, does that mean you have a question?
I do.
Okay, let me, I'll read the next one and then I'll go to your hand. Will the driveway entrance to 323 Winona, the 4-story building, be affected by the construction traffic?
No, there'll still be two-way traffic there.
Okay. Councilor Leeper, you have a question.
Thank you, Fiona. And sorry if I have the wrong project. I don't think so, though. There was a truck that took down some power lines. Was that this project? Yeah. So
So I'd like
what
to.
happened there? Was that yours? Because that's
No.
obviously concerning. Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, thank you for bringing that up. So we did have, sorry, not we, there was an incident on Winona earlier yesterday, I believe it was, where a truck had taken down a power line and a power line pole right at our property, at the corner of our property in 328 Winona.
Yeah.
And the power was ripped off of 329, the house. So we investigated it because that person called us and you know, kind of said like, what's going on here? So we investigated it with Hydro, and it turns out that this is an isolated incident, not to do with our site at all. Of course, we knew that going in. They found that there was a truck that was too high. It caught one of the wires and tore down one pole and fled the scene. So Hydro had to come in and stand a new pole, put the Hydro back up and such. So
Who was it? It wasn't us though, or any of our guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like there.
It's got residents concerned. There are low-hanging hydro lines. So, you know, what are your precautions against making sure that any of your vehicles are not affecting any of the power infrastructure nearby?
Well, it's kind of twofold. One is we've said as a construction team, we're not going to be utilizing Winona, so we're not going to have trucks going up and down there. The other is that there are some low-hanging wires there now, which we're actually paying to have removed, and some will be put underground and some will be rerouted. So the poles and wires along Winona from 328 down to Scott on our side will be removed as part of the construction.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much, Fiona, for giving me an opportunity to ask my question.
No problem. Please lower your hand and then raise it again if you have another question. Okay. Children from Westboro Beach walk along Winona to get to Lions Park. Since Winona will be used for construction trucks, perhaps it would be safer for children to use Churchill to get to Winona. Can we ask children-friendly detour signs be posted to get to Lions Park along Churchill and turn east on Whitby?
I certainly would say absolutely we can facilitate that. Whitby is the first street. Is it the first street going up? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to figure this out already. Yeah, no, we can find a children-friendly detour route, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay, and there was a part two to that question or comment that says, after construction, is the pedestrian walkway from Winona to Churchill open to the public? That is for children to get to Churchill to Lions Park.
Yep. Yeah, it's open to the public.
Okay, will these be rental units?
They will be, yes. There's 254 rental units.
And I assume what I've seen before in the past, and you guys, maybe John can tell me, usually it's like when you start to get above ground, I see the marketing website for the project. So if you're interested, if anyone's here because they're interested in renting, I'm assuming just keep your eye out for the Azure Westboro web page that I assume will be out there at some point.
Yep, 100%.
Someone may have missed this, but is there a start and completion date for the project? Maybe we can just go back quickly to the timeline.
Yeah, so we plan to break ground late this month or early May. And we'll be, it'll be like 18 to 20 months. So our completion will be 2024.
Okay, thank you. While we wait for the sidewalks, can the city put in better calming measures? Maybe some street planters like the one that are on Clifton Road.
Maybe. I mean, I'm going to suggest that the construction itself is going to help calm some of the traffic down. We've had this discussion with respect to Winona traffic calming a fair bit. I would ask you to contact my office. I would like to put planters everywhere. I frequently don't get permission to do so based on things like where the driveways are. But Tom and I are happy to chat with you about traffic calming moving forward.
And Jeff, did we put traffic calming funds as part of the Section 37 for afterwards?
I think, oh, sorry, I think so.
I think we did.
A relatively substantial amount, eh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
So they're, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the next one is traffic calming related to, would the city consider to have Winona as a only local traffic only, given that all the tall buildings in the area and the traffic on Scott, a lot of cars will use Winona as a way to avoid Churchill and Scott intersection.
Yeah, I think the it's all a possibility. Local traffic only is it's not a tool I like to use that often because it is so frequently ignored. It is upsetting to residents and it is upsetting to me. The number of people who will ignore that rule, that will be extremely difficult to get any kind of enforcement on it. And you're going to wind up calling the police probably to very little avail. What I would prefer to do is make the street unattractive for driving. One of the things that when we rebuild the streets we do now, council has passed a policy where we design the street to be 30K and traffic calming by design. So that's with things like speed bumps, intersection narrowings, bulb outs. We've got a bunch of that now underway with the rebuilds on Athlone. What I can say is that over the next couple of years, you're likely to see some designs emerge for Winona that are going to lead to a different feel on the street. And because it's going to be difficult to travel quickly down Winona, it will hopefully dissuade people from using it. I'm happy to have a chat about signing it local only, but as residents who live on local only streets will be able to tell you, it doesn't do much to help because Ottawa drivers simply ignore it.
Okay, that was the last question in my queue. I see no hands raised. I will riff for a few seconds in case. And Jeff has his hand raised. So Jeff, please.
Another question.
How do people reach you? I appreciate the offer. I think it's important for residents to have a direct contact. How do they get in touch with you if they have issues during the course of construction?
So on our construction hoarding, on the plywood that'll be around the site, the signage, it'll have our company name, obviously, but it'll have contacts. It'll have the site super contact, his cell phone and
Perfect.
his email address. It'll have mine as well. So
excellent. Yeah, having the supercell is important.
Yeah.
you know, if, and I would ask residents to let me know and ask, let Andrew know as well, if you start to see construction trucks using Winona against the approved traffic plan, please let us know. Sometimes those folks, you know, they're often subcontractors who are driving the trucks, and sometimes both the developers and the councillor have their frustrations with the subcontractors. They obey no earthly power, but if you report it to us, we can address it. So that's going to be critical. No, those are the two things. That's great. Thank you.
One more question came in. Where will construction workers be parking?
So this is a concern from day one. What we have done is we're leasing a vacant lot just down the road. So there's next to the curling club, there's a vacant commercial building with a parking lot in behind. And we'll be utilizing that as our parking area for construction workers. And I have reached out to the curling club as well to see if I can get some space from them. I haven't had any responses yet, but hopefully we'll be able to rent some space from them as well.
I'm in touch with them for obvious reasons. So if it's helpful, I can certainly ask them to reach back out to you.
Yeah, no, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Given the restrictions.
There's too little space on site. We need it for construction activities, not a parking lot. So
Yeah, no, yep. I'll see if I can facilitate something along those lines.
thank you.
Okay. I have no more questions in my queue. Okay. One person's hand is raised. So Leah, your hand is raised. I will promote you to panelist to ask your question. I'm doing that now. Where did she go? Hi, Leah. So if you want to ask your question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thanks. It was way too long to write, so I'm sorry.
No problem.
I know we mentioned that the whole electrical pole was an isolated incident, but that I'm just a little worried. And sorry, there's a bunch of lawyers in the family here. So, but this pole has been leaning into the street for probably a solid month and a bit. It wasn't just the truck that made that low bearing wire. It was actually leaning there for quite some time from the first time the company went to do work, and it has never been like put back up into a straight pole like state, like how it should have been. So I'm a little bit confused and frustrated at the fact that the responsibility has just been brushed off, saying that there's no responsibility from the developer or the site company when it's been hanging over into the street for months now.
So I will, before the developer wants to answer, another resident brought forward the incident that occurred recently. And so today I was in touch with Hydro Ottawa. They said the Hydro Ottawa can confirm that the pole in the photos was replaced by the Hydro Ottawa crews yesterday. There was some damage to a residential location from the truck catching the power line. The only residual work is to reconnect 329 Winona when repairs to the equipment are completed, and we've received some ESA connection authorization. So they're aware of it, and it sounds like they've made the repairs. I don't know if that completely alleviates the concern, but that's the information that we received.
Leah, did the developer knock the pole down the first time? Like, who originally knocked into it?
It would have been the developer's group or whoever's on the site. If from the first time they went to the house, the empty house property, so the 328 Winona property, that's when they did some work out front. That pole's been teetering since that time. I don't know, I can't remember the exact date, but it's probably around the time I sent you an email when they had blocked me into my driveway. So it's around that time.
Okay, and sorry, your emails didn't contain that assertion. So your assertion is that the developer of this property had previously compromised the pole's straightness.
Yes, that pole's been leaning since they started that project and started doing some groundwork on the project.
Andrew, can you respond to that? Because I don't think we've done any work on site. So what have we been doing over there since?
what we did do, John, is we had to go in and cut the sewer and cap the sewer lines at 328.
Yeah,
We did have to do some excavation there. I've been to site myself, and the distance between the pole and our excavation is, there's quite a bit of distance there. So, I'm not a geotechnical sort of person, but I mean, if the pole was leaning after that, then I have to take it at her word that it was leaning after that. So we could reach back out to Hydro Ottawa and ask for their kind of professional opinion on that.
yeah, because Jeff, we have not been on site yet. Like the site is still pristine from the beginning. We haven't demolished, we've done anything there, and we can't. So I'm really surprised to hear that we would have disturbed the pole, because I haven't authorized any work to be done beyond what Andrew's talking about. So
Okay.
I would probably push back on the assertion that we did that, because we're not working there at this point.
So, I don't know what to say. There's a couple of different assertions of what's happened here. Leah, if the polls was leaning, or if you see anything like that in future, just give my office a call. And we can get Hydro out to fix it. And it'll be up to Hydro to determine who to charge for the work.
Okay. Yeah, we will do. I should have taken a picture of it earlier. I know I sent you pictures from it yesterday. That was already leaning like that before. And if I can find them, because we've taken pictures a couple times with some people in the neighborhood, I'll try and see if I can find pictures from earlier before, where we can show you that it was leaning before this incident even happened yesterday.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't think anyone is, the pole's been fixed. I'm
not really worried about the pole. It's the damage that was done to my neighbor that she now has to incur on herself. Like that if you talk about community, talking about being friendly, they want to be part of the community, there should be some compensation, or at least an offer to compensate a portion of that. That's what's frustrating to me.
So Leah,
Like you come in and you're just like, hey, let's just do this. And we all want to work together. And you know what, if the wires weren't, if that pole wasn't crooked and it wasn't low bearing, then it wouldn't have pulled off her power from her home.
Yep. No, so I get it. You're asserting that the developer, through the course of some earlier excavation work, compromised the pole. As a result, the wires were hanging low. As a result of the wires hanging low, a vehicle pulled the wires off, damaged your neighbor's property, and that you feel the developer should compensate the neighbor if it's their work that led to the original wires hanging low.
Absolutely.
Okay, no, I get that, and we can pursue that offline.
So I have a few more comments in the chat as well as a hand raised. So Leah, I'm respectfully demoting you back to attendee. So let me make sure I can figure out how to do that. Hold on, sorry. I need some like hold music when I'm figuring these tech stuff out. Okay, Leah is going back to an attendee. Okay, so just some general comments. I agree with Leah, the excavation affected the integrity of the pole, as well as Scott mentioned that there was a contractor hired by the ZWPMI. I'm not sure what that means, but noted.
Yeah, so that's ZW Project Management.
Okay.
That's the folks that we had come in to do the cutting and capping of the sewer so that we could get the demolition permit.
Okay. And Lucy had sent me a message and I just responded because she's also sent me an email. There's some concerns about some wires. So when I follow up with Hydro Ottawa, I will mention the low hanging wires and make sure that that is rectified as well.
Leah, I want to, if you could just put it into the Q&A, Leah, can I copy everybody on a note? Leah, do you mind if I put you on that note as well when I just ask for some sort of a resolution to what's going on here? It'll probably take a couple of weeks, but I do want to pursue it. So if you could just give me your permission to share your contact info when I send a note to everybody so that everybody sees what I'm saying to everybody.
Leah says, yes, go ahead. Thank you. Mari has a quick comment. Andrew, thank you for accommodating the child-friendly detour signs. And she suggests contacting you maybe in early May to discuss. That sounds good. And then she thanks myself and Jeff for organizing this meeting, and she's heading over to K9. Okay, so Colleen, you had your hand raised, but now I see a question in the Q&A, so I'm not sure what you'd prefer. You're mentioning that you sent photos of what happened last night and sent them to us. So yes, we have photos of the pole, and like I just mentioned when we were chatting with Leah, someone has brought that to our attention, and I reached out to Hydro Ottawa, so they're working on repairing it. It sounds like the pole has been fixed, minus the low-hanging wires that Lucy mentioned. So I'll make sure that that's all squared away. And like Jeff said, he's going to do some follow-up. So if you'd like to be part of that follow-up, you can just shoot us an email. Colleen, your hand is still raised. Can you just put, okay, you still want to be promoted to a panelist. Okay, so just 1 second here. Promoting you to a panelist now, Colleen. Okay, Colleen, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, so I had noticed this occurring last night, and it was a major fix. And I think the developer had mentioned that this wasn't close to the excavating area, and it actually is very close to it. I guess my concern is, if this is how we're starting out, what kind of fortitude are we going to show to prevent these kinds of things from happening in the future? You know, I guess that's my question. And who's coordinating?
Well, that is a tough question to answer right on the spot.
Thank
You
you.
know, it is unfortunate that this incident happened at this point in time. You know, the developer, we don't feel that, at this time, we didn't feel that we were responsible. However, as more information is coming out, it seems as though there's more to learn here. And I think with Mr. Leeper's help, we'll be able to flush out what occurred, and we'll get some resolution out there for the folks that were affected. As to go forward, you know, ZW, we don't plan to do work this way. We don't plan to make errors like this. You know, the president of the company is who I report to directly, and I take that very seriously. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm the PM, so I need to kind of take responsibility for these sorts of things. And you know, words without actions are kind of meaningless. So I guess we'll have to ask for your patience to let us show you in the next few months that we can do this sort of work without any reoccurring incident like this.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if you're good, Colleen, I'm going to respectfully demote you back to an attendee. Just
Okay.
1 second. Oops, my video was off. Okay, I have no more questions in the queue. I see no more hands raised. So again, I will just kind of riff for a second to see if there's any last minute questions that are coming forward, but I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so I'm going to call this concluded because there's no more questions. So thanks everyone for coming out tonight. And I will just turn it over to Jeff for any closing remarks.
I don't have any other than to say thank you very much for joining us. I am reassured that you'll have the site superintendent's direct contact information. That's always very helpful. These things are never without hiccups, but hopefully we can keep the lines of communication open and resolve anything that does come up fairly quickly.
Awesome. Okay. We're getting some thank yous in the chat. Thank you all for coming. It'll be posted on YouTube in the coming days. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne. I'm just going to copy your email address.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. we'll hopefully have a great summer. See you
Okay.
soon. Bye.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just copying an email address before I'm shutting it down. Thank you, everyone.